Well, this might even be a good opportunity for us to talk about some of the various things that we want to do and inside of continuing on with code and some computer science, the potential for maybe some computer science micro credentials or just some other alternative pathways where maybe it's not a summer session, but something throughout the school year and some other abilities for teachers to kind of jump in and get certified.
Well, in the main session, as they were talking and sharing resources, I think all of the resources that they shared just line up beautifully with what we're already talking about doing in Tennessee. So I was really excited about that. And I made a big note with exclamation points to find out more about Family Code Night, because that will make a great addition to the offerings that we have in that window when we do our virtual coding marathon.
Yes.
To celebrate National Computer Science Education Week. And if I start now working with Misty, we've got time to get some social media out there about, I already emailed or went on their website and asked for information about it, and downloaded the whole kit to, with all the publicity things and the graphics and everything. And so I think that's something we'll look to start up and have that hosted for K5. And then the coding marathon is grades 3 through 12. So yeah, we've got the whole pipeline covered.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we had a great meeting. Well, I had a great meeting rather with Lego this morning. They have some micro credentials that they've created online, and
Nice.
as well as some certifications and badges. And so we're going to have another meeting and loop in and see how we can, because there are a lot of teachers in Tennessee that are using robotics, and hopefully that could be something that is. Well, hello, how are you? And so that, that could be something that, I know a lot of teachers, especially with the Lego leagues and what have you, that, that they could be really beneficial to be a part of that K through 5 and even some of that middle school space.
Yep, exactly.
So we're just kind of discussing some opportunities in computer science. The main session had some important information about, getting schools ready for that transition to computer science. And so one of the great topics that we're trying to explore is alternative pathways and other ways that we can get teachers credentialed in computer science, as well as just feeling comfortable in their capacity to be able to provide meaningful computer science instruction to their students. So, we're just open to any ideas that anyone might have about how we could maybe do some non-traditional ways to provide that educational foundation for teachers.
So for both of our attendees, we're kind of hoping that you might have heard of programs in other states, or maybe you've got colleagues who are doing things. If the state and TSIN were looking at developing alternative pathways, what are things you want us to keep in mind? What would make it attractive to you that you want to be sure we consider?
Hello, I am actually with cyber.org. And so we are, yes, we're based out of Louisiana, and Louisiana was not a choice on the list. But I lived in Tennessee for a little bit. So I was like, oh, let me jump in over there. Yes. And so we do a lot of stuff, just providing free resources for schools, especially I'm in the elementary space. That's my specialty. So this whole idea of, computer safety and how to keep them safe online, kind of focus them in that way. But we also do have a couple of free options for like cybersecurity pathways. I know that's a little bit, it's in the whole computer science realm of things. And some kids really get very interested in it. It's kind of just a different way to get them excited about technology.
Well, Lori, in Louisiana, what are some things that you guys have done or seen be successful at getting, especially getting those elementary teachers who, you know, it was hard enough to get them to see themselves as science and social studies teachers beyond the reading and math. What helped you get them interested in computer science, adding computer science?
I love doing workshops where teachers can dive in with their own hands and try it out. I think we have that natural fear of like, I just can't do this. And I don't feel confident enough to like let my kids see how much I can't do this. But letting them try it out helps a lot. I love tying computer science into science.
Yeah.
It fits so well with the next generation science standards. And it flows. Some of the standards I feel like you could not teach without technology. And so I love selling that to science teachers specifically, that it's a way for their kids to have fun in science. Yes. And so to pull them in through that. So like one of my favorite modules that we have available for teachers to use if they want to is all about like the interconnectedness of technology. And so this idea that I'm sending an email and like it can be in Paris in 2 seconds, and how does this work? And so we look at how information has been transmitted over time. So starting out with like way back when they used talking drums. And so like you would drum and somebody would hear it, and then they would carry that signal long distances just by like continuously, oh, here it is, and let me do it where I'm at. So then somebody down the road can hear, and somebody down the road can hear. And so how we went from that to slowly discovering things with technology and carrying those messages over. And so the kids are able to do simple little science experiments about understanding that there's waves in the air that we can't see. And it just those easy things that we've all done at some point in time, like taking a cup and putting saran wrap on it and putting some little styrofoam beads or seed beads on it, and just like sing on the side of it and watch it move. You didn't touch it, you didn't blow on it. Why is it moving? And to help them understand that that's the beginnings of the technology, that we do have these waves in the air that we can't see, just like sound waves. But so I found it really easiest to connect it to, it's a better way to teach your science where the kids won't forget it. And so tying it into that other standards you already have to teach anyway.
That's smart. Yeah. So it's not something in addition to, it's another way to do what you're already doing. How about what differences have you noticed in the effectiveness of programs they can work through on their own, like an online course that's self-paced, versus a workshop like you're talking about, where you got a facilitator there to guide and answer questions?
I think you hit different kinds of teachers. And so by having that variety, you're more likely to reach more people. I'm a hands-on person. That's just a part of who I am, and I know that. But then at the same time, if my life is crazy and there's a topic I would love to learn about, but I just can't make it to the wherever state or whatever NSTA conference or whatever conference is going on, I can't afford the tuition or the travel for it. So by having these online events, we have seen thousands of teachers from all over the US just join in. And so we've reached, it's funny because, I mean, COVID and all of its miserableness, at the same time, it caused us to have to go online with a lot of things. And we really, we did all in-person workshops before at cyber.org, but now that we went to online through that, we doubled our numbers in a year. And so our workshops they're always free. Teachers can always look them up. But because of that, they're booking out. And so, but yet at the same time too, I can do 3 workshops in one day on 3 different topics, where before I couldn't because I had to travel somewhere and then talk. And we still offer the free in-person workshops also. So that's something too. So like if a school wants to try out a microbit or wants to try out something, that's something that through our grant funding, we're able to do for the school at no cost. So if there's like 20 teachers and, you know, we're able to go to that exact school. It doesn't matter that it's not by a big area or, you know, and bring it to them. So we can bring the kits and bring the cases and bring the technology devices. and let them try it out and see what it's like first, you know, and kind of go from there. We do a lot to try to find more affordable ways to, so we have a cyber bot that's been created through Parallax that is a lot like some of the Lego products, but just a little bit cheaper. So for those schools that can't use the other things, it's just another option. So there's different little things like that too that can kind of drag them in. But I really like having the option of both types of workshops for people.
Yeah.
So they do have kids at home and their schedule is already really crazy. I'm okay, and I'm never offended if they turn their camera off and just listen.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, at least it's something. If that's all you can do, that's all you can do, and that's okay.
Audra,
So-
did that bring up questions for you?
So is your reach larger than Louisiana, or
Oh yes,
is there a
all of the
Tennessee
states.
representative?
Yes. So
Are
we travel
you?
all over. So
Okay,
I can go
awesome.
anywhere. Yes, we can go all over. We actually do have one of our employees lives in Tennessee. So he's a little bit south of Nashville right now. We're about half remote and half not. So about half of us are in the office actually in Louisiana, and the other half are scattered throughout the US. It's hard to find a large group of cybersecurity or technology experts that live in one area, especially that understand and have teaching experience. And so that is something that's different. When we go to present somewhere, I mean, I've taught for over 10 years. I mean, I've taught kindergarten, second, third, and fifth grades. I was a STEM enrichment teacher for a couple of years too. And so to have that co-teacher, like someone who really gets what you're dealing with, be able to kind of talk to you a little bit, it's, you know, it's helpful. And so it's not like some places that you'll just have somebody come in who is really excited about what they're doing, and it's great, but just you hear them talk and you're like, that's just not going to work in my classroom though. Like if you only spent a day in my room.
It's so important to have that experience. I mean, you know, you can be an expert in the field, but if you don't have that combined expert knowledge in the field as well as the educational experience, oftentimes it doesn't, you know, make move real mountains for students. So it would be wonderful to connect. Hopefully you can
Definitely.
see my email address as well as Becky's on the screen. And it would be great to connect, like as we're thinking about some of the options that we're providing teachers. We know that, you know, some people are going to be more interested in robotics, some are going to be interested in cybersecurity. And so providing just like a plethora of options for teachers to be able to choose from when really wanting to engage in computer science is so important.
Definitely. And like, so I'm working on my PhD right now at LSU in Baton Rouge. And so I've developed the science course. That's my like little baby that I've kind of going through. Right now it's 3rd through 5th grade, complete science. It covers all the next generation science standards, but teachers can pick and choose whatever parts they want. And so feel free to take a look at that. And 4th grade is a microbit unit. So that's the communications module. And I think that one fits into computer science really well. The student resources do not have a grade level on them on purpose. So that way teachers can kind of use it however they would like to. The career portion also on our website, I think is super cool because they have profile cards that you can like print out wherever you want. Print them at Sam's, print them at Walmart, you know, and kids can actually see them and print them as posters or not. And it helps them hopefully think of these different technology careers we don't always hear about and see what they really are. And also though, noticing a lot of them you do not need a degree for. So there are some that you definitely do, and there's some that you need certifications for, but that's very different than your actual degree programs. But just so to kind of open their minds to, if they know they don't fit in one traditional realm, they could very easily fit in a different realm, and that is perfectly acceptable. But these are careers that right now, Department of Homeland Security is having trouble filling a lot of these jobs. So there are thousands of openings right now. And that's kind of where we came in. Our funding all comes from the different departments like that. And so it kind of just highlights those things for them. Every month there usually is a new one that kind of gets thrown up there. So it's fun for kids to look at. Our goal is always that elementary schools love having dress up days anyway, right? And so Halloween's coming around the corner. They'll do superhero day instead of, you know, just to kind of stay away from the scary Halloween costume, which, you know, that's smart. But to let them have career day instead, and see some of these careers, and find their way to dress up as some of these careers. And for some kids, it's even just printing a small copy of the career description and wearing it on a string around their neck and pretending that's their job for the day. You know, kind of bringing in those things. One of my children is definitely the kid who, on career day, when everyone else was a doctor or a teacher, or, you know, we have there's like 5 careers kids can actually name by the time they're in 4th grade, right? He was a white hat hacker. And so, yes. So he got to explain to everyone what he was and what he did, and how hackers weren't necessarily bad people. They were people who think outside the box, and that they were good and bad versions of every possible talent skill. But he was going to help protect companies and their websites and make them more secure. And so just to, you know, if we can let them know about these things in elementary school, I mean, just thinking about what they're going to do as they grow up, and as their career even gets developed in the meantime, because I'm sure most of them doesn't exist today.
Mm-hmm.
But so to help them see that and help their families see that too, because I think families just have a hard time even knowing what to tell their kids.
Yeah.
I love that take on Halloween, you know, changing it to a more career-oriented event where kids still get a chance to dress up and have that artistic expression of self, but more so geared towards something that's going to be beneficial to them later on in life. So that's really great. I like that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so feel free to, you know, search on our website and reach out and holler. I would love to head over to Tennessee and help with whatever, get a teacher event going, or, you know, however we can help in those areas. That would be wonderful. I'd love to head back over there.
While you guys have been talking, I was scrolling through your standards that were just published on there.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And I love how the clarifying statements are in grade bands. That makes it so much easier. My teaching experience, and I know Audra's, were all grades 6 through 12.
Yes.
And so working with the K5 teachers, sometimes we have to stop and think, and have our script prepared ahead of time about, you know, so this is why you need to do it, or what it might look like in those grades. So that really helps people, you know, who are cutting a wide swath. But the other thing that just kind of went through my mind is these would make really nice, so like, I don't know if you were on when we were saying that Tennessee is thinking about creating alternative pathways for teachers to add endorsements and licensure and things for computer science. And, you know, one of the things we're looking at is, what do teachers need to know to be able to teach computer science? And looking at these standards and the way the 3 themes, and I'm just thinking, especially the digital citizenship one, I'm thinking, wow, it's almost like a checklist of mastery, that these are the things that you need to know, teachers. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yes, we have quite a few workshops that we've kind of developed and kind of thrown out there that offer like micro credentials. And so some of those things are kind of already laid out so that teachers can kind of add some things to their list. Some little, you know, just letting people know what they're capable of doing, what they know, some little skill sets. And so that's helpful too.
How many hours are your workshops that lead to micro credentials usually on average?
Oh, they're self-paced, most of them. So it's kind of hard to, Kelly Dean at our office, she's the one who handles like that particular a batch of things. She's worked, her and Dr. Charles Gardner worked with a lot of different states on coming up with some plans for, as far as teacher certifications, and also a lot of plans as far as these pathways for high school kids. So in the state of Louisiana, we do have a cybersecurity pathway sponsored by us that lists out, like, as in 9th grade, you need to take this course, in 10th, 11th, and 12th, and then they get a special little cybersecurity stamp on their diploma at the end. And we have a whole list of companies that have basically said that if the kids do have that stamp, they want them. So like GDIT and General Dynamics and We work with a lot of those companies here at our office. That's just one of the things we're just very grateful to have their input. They kind of keep us on the right track as far as what kids do need to know to enter the workforce and be ready to go for their companies. They keep us kind of changing some things. Right now, we're even working on, it's going to take a little bit before it's released, now that works, but for the elementary space, some cybersecurity, there's like 4 different topic bands. Like, so digital footprints will be one that kids will be able to complete a course online that will take, they're about 15-minute little segments, and there'll be 5 or 6 of them. And at the end, though, they can print this nice little paper that says, "Congratulations, you now are a cybersecurity expert and understand digital footprints."
Nice.
Yeah, so there'll be 4 different little topics that they'll be able to do that. So we're kind of experimenting in that realm a little bit too. Knowing that with some of these topics, teachers don't know the skills either.
Mm-hmm.
And they definitely, and they definitely don't really, if you don't know the skill at all and you're aware of that, they don't feel comfortable having discussions with students about them. And so on those topics, we're trying to find creative ways, like these online courses or little things like that, that are written for kids though, and that kid-friendly language, the little cute graphics, the cartoon videos, but that hopefully it can educate the teacher and the student at the same time, where the kids still get to hear those topics and make it just a little bit easier on them. Because like you said, it's another standard. Like, I mean, who wants another standard to have to teach? You already feel like you're not good enough in reading and math and all these other places. So any little way we can work it in like that to make it easier on teachers, that's definitely a part of the goal. Because we've been there, we know what it feels like.
Wow. Well, it'd be great for us to, take a look through some of the information on your website, as well as, maybe have a follow-up meeting and see how we can, collaborate on providing some of our teachers in Tennessee, because it's really important to increase their capacity first. I mean, the teachers are the first step, they have to drink the Kool-Aid before they can serve it to the kids. And so, if they're on board and they see the relevance as well as see the importance of, increasing their knowledge base so that they can, and a lot of times when we're looking at K-5, that digital readiness piece, as well as, hopefully adding in a lot more of just true computer science for students as well.
Definitely. Yes, and I would love to take a look at the standards the teachers already have to cover. Those science standards, those ELA math standards, and that's a part of my specialty. And seeing where we can maybe provide some suggestions as far as workshop wise to make the teachers feel like they're not just covering technology skills, but they can cover these other standards through technology, and make them feel maybe a little bit more confident in kind of doing it that way. I just did that for New York the other day, and the teachers really seem to enjoy it a lot.
Oh, wow.
To see kind of how things connected. With K-2, we used a Dash most of the time because that's what their teachers had in the district too. So it's one of those things also, like if we know teachers typically already have a whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, but ways we can kind of filter that in. And we've even found one school district here lately, Learning Resources makes a super cheap $20 little mouse, and you press the buttons to code the mouse and it travels all across the floor. And so even just using little things like that, it's not like you need to spend $500 on a whatever. But what are those easy things that are at a cheaper price point that teachers can use and students can use, where they feel like they did use a robot or they did use a something to be able to program and to code, but yet it is at an okay level for the schools, not to get put in a bind either. That's why microbit's fun, because it has online simulator. So we do a lot of microbit workshops. So teachers can go online and use the simulator and not need the device. If you have a device, great, it's a bonus, but it's not necessary.
That is so great. I love all of the free educational tools that teachers can really just dive into for computer science. There's, so much out there and so many different directions that you could take, and, just connecting it back to that industry need, and, students being really ready with those 21st century skills when they step out into the workforce.
Definitely.
That is amazing. I think that our time is actually coming to an end at 3:05, and we're supposed to go back to the main session. But
thank you for chatting with me.
Yes, Lori, we would love to, like I said, set up a meeting and talk further about, how we can integrate some of the strategies that you guys are using into some of the thought processes as we think about, how we can better serve our teachers.
Perfect. Great. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon.
Okay, awesome.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank
All right,
you.
Bye
bye-bye.
bye.
Bye-bye.